All right, so I'm gonna get into more of the Crawley history. A black royal family or a swarthy royal family, just to show you the complexions and how these Crawleys, my family, are the real Crawleys that descend from these people, or the lines of Judah, the kings of England, the kings of Ireland, the kings of Scotland, Scotia, all that stuff. And it says here, his son was Beogan, who finished the shield in the days of Hezekiah. Now Beogan begat Belay, and Belay was the father of Galam, who is Melatius, or William the Conqueror of Ireland. And his sons were Eber and Amhergin the Druid, and Aramon, who married Tephi, the daughter of Zedekiah, and whom God saved the line of David. So, Melatius is William the Conqueror. They're the same person, right? Same person. And it says, we have already traced the separate lines of Pharez and Zerah down to the generation which marked their junction in the marriage of Eochid the Aramon, or Prince Aramon of Ireland, with Tephi, the daughter of Zedekiah. With the former begins the Malaysian line of the Irish kings, and with the latter we have hitherto been taught to consider that the line of David ended, but we know it didn't end because Tephi married into the family, the line of David, and the line of David was kept going. So again, Prince Aramon, or the Malaysian line, remember Melatius, that is William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror is all those descendants, the kings of England, Britain, Scotland, Ireland, they all descend from William the Conqueror. Now, in these Crawleys, they're descendants of these people, and I'm going to show you. The Malaysian line, or Melatius. It's right here. Do the Crawleys descend of Melatius? Yes, the Crawley family, or Crawley, it's the Irish term of the same name, Crawley, is considered a descendant of Melatius, a legendary king of ancient Spain, through his son Aramon, who is said to have founded a dynasty of kings in Ireland. So the Crawleys descend from Melatius, who is William the Conqueror. That's his family. So these family and this lineage is a royal lineage. The Crawleys are royals. They're royalty. And who is to say the Crawley line are not the kings of England? Because I can show you the depiction of what William the Conqueror really looked like. Here's an article on William the Conqueror, and you can see they show a white man, right? A YT man. But this is how they described what he looked like. It says, prior to his death on the pilgrimage to Jerusalem, Robert beseeched the nobles of Normandy to accept as their lord his son William. When William came of age and assumed power, some barons sought to unseat him by rebelling. William quickly and savagely routed the rebels and firmly asserted his rights through the Duchy of Normandy. William then proceeded to enlarge his inherited power by force of arms. During an assault on Algonquin, the besieged townsmen, ill-advised, hung hides over the walls, a contemptuous allusion to his grandfather's trade. They paid dearly for the derision. William subsequently gouged out the eyes and cut off the hands and feet of his prisoners and catapulted them into the terrified town. The Norman nobles liked what they saw and basked in the brutality of his reign, which resulted in their duchy prospering. Okay, that's kind of wild, but William was a tall, dark-skinned individual with receding hair, broad shoulders, and a face adorned with a thin, twirling mustache. So, what did he say he was? William was a tall, dark-skinned individual with receding hair, broad shoulders, and a firm face adorned with a thin, twirling mustache. Swarthy, of a dark color, complexion, or caste. So swarthy means of dark complexion. Dark complexion. And if you go here, it says, yes, historical accounts describe William the Conqueror as a swarthy figure with descriptions noting his towering height, broad shoulders, and dark complexion. So, This dude right here, he is not a dark complexioned man. He is not dark. He is light. He is a white man. He is not dark complexion. He is not swarthy. So this image that they're showing you of William the Conqueror is whitewashed. And here is a photo. It says Norman soldiers crossing the English Channel from La Ville de Saint Aubin d'Angers, an 11th century manuscript. So this is a real manuscript. And you see what the Normans look like. They're dark-skinned, black people. They're swarthy people. So these Crawleys descend from these people, just so we get that. Malicious. William the Conqueror, same person. I'm going to go back to this as well. Now Breogan begat Belay, and Belay was the father of Galam, who is Malicious, or William the Conqueror of Ireland. This right here is a coin of William the Conqueror the First, or William the First. It's a black man. You can tell by his lips, his nose, you can tell he's a black man. Just to show you guys, the Crawleys, the same people, the Crawleys, same people. There is a different variation of the same name. This is Samuel Crawley, Esquire, Ragnall Hall, Nottinghamshire. You see the boar's head in the middle. It's the symbol that the Crawleys have always used, passed down from generation to generation to generation. You see here, O'Crawley, chief coat of arms per record since 1562. We can go farther back though, we know that. It says this is the coat of arms, has the boar right in the middle, smack dab in the middle. It's the same coat of arms that's been passed down. You can see the name change. O'Crawley to Crawley. O'Crawley to Crawley. Same people. Dark-skinned people descendant from Malicious to King William the First or William the Conqueror, same person. So these Crawleys descend from them, and they always have. Here's the McDermotts. Remember, we got the rampant red lion, the three boars head, same family, lineage, all connected. This is how you know the descendants of the royal tribe, or the line of David. So the royal tribe, the question is here, what tribe in the Americas do the Crawleys stem from? From records that go back to Wyatt Crawley, we can state that they lived in Virginia, because my grandfather has records of Wyatt Crawley being born in Charles City, Virginia. So if those Crawleys are in Virginia at that time, right, that would make them Algonquin. So the kings of Zerah Judah, or the line of David, goes through the Algonquin tribe. Just to show you how this is the old world. It's all the old world. America is the old world. This is where Judah was at, or what you can say Judah, or the land of Israel, or the Garden of Eden. This is the four rivers of the Garden of Eden, land of Adam in the real old world, Eden, heartland of America. You can see, and the river went out to Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into four heads. So we can see the Ohio River, all these places right here. Now, I was just saying that William the Conqueror, his descendants, or the line of David, they stem from the Americas. We can go off of that based on historical fact as well. Because again, this map shows you the rivers and how they split into four heads. And Virginia is right down there. You just go down, there's Ohio right there. You go straight down, there's West Virginia, or Kentucky, I'm pretty sure it's Kentucky, and then West Virginia. And then then Virginia's down there somewhere, which West Virginia and Virginia are the same place. They split it in half during the Civil War. So it's the same place. West Virginia, just like North America and South America, they're the same land. It's still America. just like West Virginia and Virginia are the same land. Or the same state. They split it, but it's the same state. Why would there be called West Virginia and then it's Virginia? It doesn't make sense. It's Virginia. All that's Virginia. Remember the royal tribe, the lines of Pharez and Zerah. We have already traced the separated lines of Pharez and Zerah down to the generation which marked their junction, the marriage of Eochaid the Aramon of Ireland with Tefi, the daughter of Zedekiah. With the former begins the Malaysian line, William the Conqueror of the Irish kings, and with the latter we have hitherto been taught, consider that the line of David ended, but it continued because we're from the line of David. The Crawley family is from the line of David. Here's a family tree. Now, I don't have the rest of it, which I don't know why I didn't take a better picture of it, but you can see Pharez, Zerah descends from Judah. Same people. Pharez's line goes to Jesse, to David, to Solomon. Then Zerah's line, Ethan, Mahol, Calcol, Gadol, Esrel, Shrew, Eber. All these people, if you keep going down, it's going to connect to Tefi and King Aramon. And here it is, right here. The genealogies of Tefi, Jeremiah's ward, and Eochaid, the Aramon, harmonize. You can see it goes down the line to Tefi, Aramon, Eber. So these people descending from the Algonquins, the Algonquin tribe. Now, which tribe of the Algonquin Confederacy? What the head of the tribe of the Algonquin Confederacy would be the Delaware tribe, so the grandfather tribe. So if these lines, these lineages go back to the grandfather tribe or the royal line or the royal tribe, who is the royal tribe or the head of the Algonquin Confederacy? Okay, so the Lenape people were also known as the grandfathers by other Algonquin-speaking tribes because they were considered the original people from which many Algonquin nations descended. The term of respect stemming from a belief in the Lenape's ancient origins and their authority also gave them a respected role in settling disputes among the other tribes. So many Algonquin nations viewed the Lenape as the first among them, the parent tribe from which others grew. So the lines of Judah, the lines of Pharez, Zerah, Judah, they are the grandfather tribe. They are the original tribe. So the royal tribe is the Lenape tribe. This respected status as grandfathers meant the Lenape were often looked to their wisdom and diplomacy in mediating conflicts between other Algonquin tribes. Now, they're going to talk about the Europeans or the YT man who stole the name from our ancestors, took our land, took all that and placed it on themselves, because we know from resources and from the records that William the Conqueror was a swarthy, dark-skinned man. So the depiction of what he is today is not accurate. We know what he really looks like. He was a dark-skinned, swarthy, ruddy complexion. He's not a YT man. And their term, they're called the Ancient Ones, was also used by many Algonquin tribes to refer to the Lenape. So they're going to use the term Moor, which is not the correct term. It's Mur, or M-U-R, Mur. The term Mur means black, and the term Swarthy means blackish, which that's not true. Blackish, it means dark skin or dark complexion. With the correct understanding of these two words, the past will appear very different as more literature is referenced. In the context of this new comprehension of such old words, what follows will be contrary to the body of knowledge a person has learned throughout their lifetime. While the doctrines that constitute a person may create stances that are unwavering, the posts in this space will test these convictions. So he's showing a portrait of a dark-skinned, this is a black woman, and this is Queen Elizabeth of England, held at the British Museum. This is a real portrait depicting Queen Elizabeth I of England. And it says, let's focus on attention to the Tudor era in England and the numerous wives of Henry VII. With his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, daughter of the Catholic monarchs, Henry had a daughter named Mary Tudor, who reigned as Queen of England and Ireland. Remember, Milesius, all these lines of kings, they all descend from Milesius, all descend from William the Conqueror. And they were described, and Mary was described as portly of body, yet was she of a swarthy complexion and not very amiable, which occasioned the King of Spain after the marriage to neglect her. So the history of life, bloody reign, and death of Queen Mary, ca. 1682, page 51. So they're giving you sources. Bishop Stephen Gardiner served as Lord Chancellor to Mary and Philip and was described by George Cavendish as having a swarthy complexion, hooked nose, deep-set eyes, a permanent frown, huge hands, and a vengeful wit. The Life of Wolsey by George Cavendish, 1557. Catherine herself was indirectly described regarding the frame of mind of Henry. Anne Boleyn, commonly known as Anne Boleyn, whose beauty and sprightly behavior presently determined his majestic to sacrifice the swarthy, sallow complexion and heavy countenance of the Spanish consort, from which he had no expectations of getting a male successor. A choice collection of original essays on various entertaining subjects, volume 1 and 2, ca. 1748. Here's another book, The 10 Tribes of Israel, or The True History, the Native North American Indians, showing that they are the descendants of these tribes. So they say there's 10 tribes. We all know, I don't know how many tribes, I don't know why they left out the 2 other tribes, but I'm just showing you this book here, and you can read it yourself. I'm giving you the document to look into. It gives you a bunch of different artifacts they found in North America, showing that the Hebrews, or the descendants of these people, were in America. And they're going to hijack the book and say they traveled over here, they're exiled tribes. No, they were already here. They were always here. They've always been here. And you can go back to my other video where it shows T. Teffy, her mounds that were found in Ireland. So who are the mound builders? We all know who the mound builders are. The American Indians. They were the mound builders. We know this. They know this. They give it away. That's why how you know that these nations that are overseas really are over here. Because who built the mounds? We did. The American Indians did. So the Crawleys, or T. Teffy's line, King Aramon, Prince Aramon, they descend from the mound builders who were in America, not overseas. And they're dark-skinned people. And here is a family lineage tree of my actual family, the Crawleys. You can see these Crawleys, dark-skinned, swarthy complexions, black people. That's another term we can use for people to understand. I'm showing you these Crawleys. It's been in our name for generations upon generations upon generation. And these Crawleys, these white people, or YT people, kept the lineage intact for us to trace our line back, because they want to claim that lineage as theirs, but in reality we know it's not theirs. Here's more of the Crawleys, dark skin, swarthy complexions. So again, the William the Conqueror, he was described as swarthy. A bunch of the other kings, the lines down, they were described as swarthy. I gave you a coin that shows William the Conqueror the first, a dark-skinned man. All right. Here's more Crawleys, dark-skinned, swarthy. You know, this family. It's been dark-skinned the whole time, going back to the 1000s, 900. It's been ancient. It's an ancient family. It's always been like that. So, from the guess that I'm making, from the truth that I found, these Crawleys are the Lenape. They're the original tribe, the ancient ones, or they descend from the ancient ones, or the Lenape people. And there are the Algonquin Confederation. It consists of many tribes, it's a nation. It's a nation of people, a nation of families that connected to each other, that built their lineages on family. Or built their nations on the pretense of family and connecting the lines together and keeping the truth within the family. Well, not within the family, but different families connected with throughout generations. And they withheld that sacred family bond together until the YT man came over and destroyed it and took it for themselves. This is the claims of the Delaware Indians. And it says, memorial of the Delaware Indians known as the head of the Algonquin Confederation. So they're the head tribe. They're the royal tribe. They're the head line. They're the main line that everybody stems through, right? And it says, to the Congress of the United States, the purpose of this bill is to compensate the Delaware Indians for services rendered to them to the United States in various wars. Your memorials represent that the Delaware Indians, known as the head of the Algonquin Confederation, which we all know the Delaware Indians, they're the Lenape people, known as the head of the Algonquin Confederation, furnished as soldiers and allies in the various wars prior to 1855 more than 1,500 warriors, which is false. We all know that we're the majority here in America. And from the smallpox contract in the War of the Revolution, which we know there was an American Indian Revolution, and the War of 1812, which we know the British, who was Tecumseh fighting with in the War of 1812, where did he die at? He died on the Battle of the Thames River, which is, if you go to London today, it's called the River Thames. London, River Thames. If you go to London, Ontario, you will see the Thames River flowing through it as well. So they just flipped it. They flip history, place it overseas, but in reality, it belongs to the Americas. And this says they lost more than 1,500 of their people. Smallpox was a disease unknown among the Indians prior to the advent of who? The white man. That the Delaware Indians were the first people to come to aid of the colonists in the struggle for independence, which wouldn't make sense, because why are you aiding foreigners who are destroying your stuff and taking over their land? And that the first treaty this government made with any nation or people was made with the Delaware Indians. So the first treaty that they made with these people were the Delaware tribe or the Lenape people. So again, they're talking to the real kings of Judah. They're talking to the kings of England, Scotland, and Britain. They coming over here and taking that stuff from them. Why do you think the colonies, they were called the British colonies? Because the British were already here. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how it's clicking? They're coming over here talking to the lines of Zerah Judah, the Crawleys, and a bunch of other families that connect into that lineage as well. And they're talking to them. And remember, they were trying to gain independence from who? Who were they trying to gain independence from when they came over here? They were gaining independence from Great Britain. So why would the original Britons, the Delaware Indians or the Lenape, help them establish their own land in their land? See what I'm saying? And it said they were that the Delaware Indians were the first people to come to the aid of the colonists in the struggle for independence. That the first treaty this government made with any nation of people was made with the Delaware Indians or the original British or the Britons. That in the treaty, the Delawares as a nation, or we can say the British, the Scottish, the Irish, all descend from the same. They're maybe not the same. I'll say they're the same. That in the Treaty of the Delawares as a nation formed an offensive and defensive alliance with this government. So they're forming an offensive and defensive alliance? That doesn't even make sense. That they were to be recognized as the head of an Indian state, the head of an Indian state with the representation in Congress as part of their compensation. Now, let me ask you this question. Where right now is the head of an Indian state, right? And where are they represented in Congress? Do you see any American Indians right now to this day wearing their adornment, wearing their original clothing, knowing who they are, represented in the state? Because they were monarchs, right? They were part of a monarchy. They were part of aristocracy. That's how they operated, right? So how were these tribes, the royal tribe, represented in the Senate when they destroyed the monarchies and replaced it with a president and a government system that completely wiped out the monarchies? It doesn't make sense because it's fabricated. Even these documents, they lie to you. but they also tell you the truth. And I'm gonna show you here the Battle of the Thames, October 5th, 1813, and the War of 1812, decisive U.S. victory over the British and the Indian forces in Ontario, Canada, enabling the United States to consolidate its control over the Northwest. So remember, the British and the Indians are one and the same. They're not any different. They're separating two of the same people, just like they separate black and Indian. They're separating it, but we all know they're one and the same. After the U.S. naval triumph in the Battle of Lake Erie in September 1813, the British commander at Detroit, Brigadier General Henry A. Proctor, found his position untenable and began a hasty retreat across the Ontario Peninsula. He was pursued by 3,500 U.S. troops under Major General William Henry Harrison, who was supported by the U.S. fleet in command of Lake Erie. The forces met near Moravian Town on the Thames River, a few miles east of what is now called Thamesville. The British were with about 600 regulars and 1,000 Indian allies, same people, under Tecumseh, who was the last king. He was the last king that we had that connected the tribes together. Tecumseh was. He was the last king, the last line of Zerah Judah, the Shawnee, like the last full-on king, guys. Remember that. The Shawnee intertribal leader, who were greatly outnumbered and quickly defeated. Many British troops were captured, and Tecumseh was killed, destroying his Indian alliance and breaking the Indian power in Ohio and Indiana territories. After this battle, most of the tribes there abandoned their association with the British. So what did they do? They conquered Britain, and many of the tribes abandoned their association with the British. They didn't abandon it. They were forced to abandon their indigenous heritage. They were forced to give up their name. They were forced to give up their land. They were forced to give up who they truly are. And then those white tea people took the name in the nation and placed it on themselves. Now I'm going to show you here, again, the Thames River. Remember that. The Thames River is in London. And I'm going to show you London, Ontario flows through the Thames River. Okay, so here is a map, Google Maps right here, showing you there's the Thames River, and look what's in the center of that land. London. Remember, Tecumseh, the last king of England, the last line of Zerah Judah, remember, he died at the Thames River, the Battle of the Thames River, and he was fighting alongside the British, or he was a part of the British, because he was fighting by London. Now I'm going to go to Great Britain, or UK. I'm going to scroll out, go all the way overseas, because they want to place it over here. Here's the United Kingdom. Here's London. Now hold up. Give some time. See this river that's flowing through here? What do you think it's called? River Thames right there. River Thames, London. Go back over to America. Thames River. They flip it. Thames River, River Thames. Come on now. Or the Thame, whatever you want to say. I don't know how to spell. I don't know. But anyway, showing you that they are flipping history and putting it overseas, when in reality it belongs to the Americas. Remember, so here we go, right here. I'm gonna go to, you can literally go right here. I just showed you guys. I just showed you London. There's the Thames River. It's flowing right through London in America because they flipped it. That's all they did. the royal tribe, Tecumseh's line, the people that he's descending from, they all come down to this line here, the lines of Perez and Zara. So I'm gonna end it here. I'll have more information. I'm gonna make a Capers video as well very soon. There's not a lot of documents on the Capers family because it's a very rare surname, but the Capers is another lineage that the Crawleys were married into from my grandma's side, on my dad's side. So just giving you guys some information. Stay tuned for my next video, and peace out, guys.